Hi, my name is Mick Wilborn, and I'm the Director of Content Marketing here at Populo. I'm delighted to be able to introduce this session, Beyond Employee Engagement, How Comms Are Driving Operational Improvement and Customer Experiences. But I'm even more delighted to introduce this session's speaker, Ryan Taylor. He's a business consultant at Delta Airlines. I've had the pleasure of working with Ryan over the years, and I'm always impressed by what they're doing over at Delta. For over 10 years, we've partnered with them, and I've seen their digital signage network grow to over 1,600 screens, with each application designed to impact different aspects of Delta's business. From employee comms through passenger comms and even operational comms, communication, when and where it matters, is critical for Delta. So let's dive into it. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for that introduction. So yeah, my name is Ryan Taylor. I'm with Delta Airlines, and I lead the digital signage experience team here. So we have done a number of things with Populo over the years, and we're really excited to share some of the aspects of our journey, going from a very small implementation to what we consider a pretty large implementation. So really excited to get into it.
All right. I'm excited too, Ryan. I want to start at the beginning though. Can you take us back to the first application that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we started off really small. I mean, we're talking 7 screens, and this was primarily focused on employee communications. We were trying to fill a gap with communicating to our employees. We're an airline, so a lot of our employees don't have a desk, they don't have phones, so communicating to them is very, very difficult sometimes. So we wanted to pilot this program where we would put digital sign into break rooms and lobbies and other places that employees congregate. It turned out to be really successful, kind of even more than we expected. It was just filling this need that we had to communicate to our employees that was not being serviced in any other ways. If you don't have a desk, you don't have a laptop or a computer, you're not getting email. You're not getting any other communications through an employee portal or anything like that. So using these screens really filled a gap in our communication, and the technology really allowed us to target that communication. So early on, we started pushing communications directly to our flight attendants. That would be different than what we would service to our ramp agents and people that worked in the office. So that's how it started, and that's, how we started to grow and realize the importance of a digital signage strategy in our overall technology footprint and how we communicated to employees.
So focusing here on employee comms, some of the employee comms applications that you had, how would you rate their success? What was some of the feedback that you heard from people around the organization?
I think the number one thing was that ability to target that communication, right? Really pushing the content that they needed to the places that it needed to be seen. And I think on top of that, one of the things that was built into the system was the ability to create local authors. So if you were maybe a leader in San Francisco, you could publish your own content just to San Francisco, which really created this kind of a local feel to the implementations and where we put these digital signage. And that was a huge benefit to the communicators and to the employees themselves, right? Now you're seeing not only just what corporate wants you to see, not only what your division wants you to see, but now you're seeing stuff of local interest, which is really important for those employees to feel connected to each other and to the organization.
Absolutely. So you found success here. You found success with employee comms. Why didn't you stop there? Why did you?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we could have very easily just said, hey, this is a success. Let's keep it going, and let's continue to build on that, but stay in that lane. But that's not the way things turned out. And really what happened was, because of the success of this, we started getting inquiries from other business units who were trying to solve other problems, not just employee comms problems, but operational problems and other types of communication problems, data problems. And we really were kind of novices still at the digital signage and Populo and how to do these things. But we just kind of took this mindset, well, we don't know. if we can do this or not for you, but we're going to give it a go and we're going to try it out and see what happens. And it turned out that really led into some other exciting opportunities for us. So that brings us here to this application, which was really the first one that we created that took us outside of that employee comms mode. And this is in our cargo warehouse where we have trucks coming in to deliver shipments that are supposed to be loaded onto flights that are heading out to different destinations. Prior to putting this system in, it was a little bit chaotic. It was paper-based. It was first come, first serve, but it wasn't always clear who was first. And there's definitely no prioritization for our warehouse workers to know which flights needed to be serviced first so that we could get those out on time, meeting those deadlines. So what we did was we created a way for them to log all the trucks that were coming in, and specifically what airway bill numbers were on those trucks. Sometimes there are multiple, and knowing which flights those needed to go to. So we kind of married all that data up onto the screen. And that resulted in this screenshot you see here, where you have a truck at door 17 that is got an airway bill number, a shipment that really needs to make that flight number 200. We only have 20 minutes to do so, right? So that gave them a prioritization, even though the truck at gate 24 might have come in before them. That prioritization and that ability to see, who should be first created this efficiency within the organization. It helped build a culture of, getting things done the right way instead of just the old way. So this was a huge step forward for us into something that was, we didn't know if we could be able to do this, but it turned out to be highly successful.
I love that. Getting things done the right way, not just the old way. So bringing in the integrated data, helping with, visualizations that helps prioritization. Do you think that had a pretty big impact on the business?
It had a huge impact. Yeah. I mean, this is really the one that, even though this was the first one, it is really one of those that we kind of always point back to when we tell our story, even internally, because it had such a profound impact on the way they were doing their business, right? And I think that was one of the key things, is being able to show that we are not just putting up pretty pictures, we're actually changing behavior and we're changing outcomes for the better. This is helping Delta, meet the needs of our customers, and it's helping employees become more organized and more focused.
That's amazing. So we got this application out the door, made an impact on the business. People started coming to you, right? Talk us through what happens next.
Yeah, so that success kept building, right? And not everything we did turned into gold, but as we grew our knowledge and as we grew confidence in the system and what we could do with it, more and more things kind of came our way. And one of the ones I'd like to highlight here is our ramp information displays. So if you're not familiar with how an airport designates their signage names, everything is pretty much an IDS. So it's an IDS, information display system, and then the beginning of that designates what it's for. So our RIDs, the ramp information displays, was really kind of a cool project, because these are huge LED displays that are put outside of the gates for our ramp team, and they're specifically there to tell them everything they need to know about their flight. Now, ramp agents aren't allowed to have phones or any devices out there. So this is really a heads up display for them. It gives them kind of those key metrics on how much time we have before that flight leaves, how we're doing on those metrics to make sure that flight goes out on time, how many passengers still need to board that flight, how many bags need to be loaded, where are those bags? Are they jetway bags, or are they coming on the tug? Lots of information is flowing through these displays. It was very successful. It really helped the team stay focused on the task at hand and knowing how much time they had to resolve that. But one of the really kind of cool things, and one of the ways this has evolved, is the team came to us, and this is a recent example, and you see that where this says ramp closed. Safety is part of Delta's culture, right? We want to make sure that safety is at the forefront of everything we do. Well, whenever there's weather in the system, so you think about a thunderstorm coming down through Atlanta, if there's any lightning associated with that storm, we have to close the ramp. And again, since they don't have devices on them, communicating that out, that ramp is now closed and that they should seek shelter can be a challenge. They have radios and things like that, but calling all those radios and making sure that word gets out, it can be time consuming. So what we did was we created a feature of the RIDS where the tower could push a button and immediately every single screen on that ramp, on every concourse, flips over to this ramp closed message. And it's a very visual, it actually flashes. So it's flashing between red and white, and it's kind of obnoxious, but on purpose, right? You want to make sure it's really visible and that the message gets out there, but it's highly effective, and it's really enforces that culture of safety. And it's a really kind of incredible thing to see them all turn all at once.
I have to think about the impact on the employee for this. I mean, so you've got your RIDS, you got your ramp information display that's really built to improve efficiency of loading and efficiency of getting planes out on time and keeping planes on schedule, right? That's very important for the business overall. But then you've got this integration now where you can hit a button and things change. That's solely for employee health and safety, right? Like it's one screen, but it's doing two different things. That's very, very impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we were involved in that new feature rollout, I was really impressed with how much they wanted this to come to fruition and the reasons behind it. I mean, it really is, taking care of your employees and making sure they're safe. I think the willingness to do that and the novel way we came about to do it, to reutilize something that's already there, that's already being used, like you said, for efficiency, but now we can double task it to keep everybody safe. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know you mentioned Atlanta as being one of the areas where this are. How many RIDS? How widespread is this type of signage across Delta?
Yeah, so that was another part of the success story, is that we went from small pilot here in Atlanta to over, I think we have about 300 of these spread throughout the system in our largest hubs. But that happened over a 6-month period. Once people validated the value of doing this, it went very quickly.
That's amazing. So on our evolution, started with employee comms, moved into operational communications with your cargo screens, started impacting the employee experience. Again, a little bit of operational improvements as well in terms of the RIDS. Now let's talk about the passenger experience. How did we get into passenger-facing applications?
Yeah, so that was kind of a slow growth for us. But once we started building upon that, it started accelerating. And these are shots here that we're looking at from LaGuardia. So if you haven't been to LaGuardia in the past year, you're really not getting the full experience. LaGuardia is an entirely new airport. So from what it went from kind of the last place airport that you would ever want to set foot in, it is now an incredibly new and vibrant building. It's incredible. And we put a lot of technology in there. We put a lot of signage. And what you're looking at here is outside on the pavilion, on the approach from the roadway, we have these huge monoliths. We refer to them as monoliths. There's 10 of these all the way down the roadside. And as you can see, they're angled so that you can see kind of a complete picture, but as you kind of get closer to them, they separate into individual screens. But it's just one example of what we've been able to do, servicing our customers and providing, brand reinforcement and just kind of a really amazing approach to the new airport. But we've got a lot of stuff inside too that we're going to talk about. But it is kind of one of those things that I think as we've grown in knowing how to create digital signage, and we took all this on ourselves. I mean, this is all built within Delta. All the creative comes from within Delta. So it's really a team effort to make these things happen.
So moving inside now, you've greeted passengers, you're starting to make an impact. Now they come in the doors. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is kind of the crown jewel. This is the height of what we've been able to do with this. So what you're looking at here this is actually from LA, and this was the first implementation of it. We refer to this very affectionately as BF lids. So normal lids or lobby information displays, kind of a single screen behind the agent, tells you what that agent's function is. If they're checking people in, if they're there for bag drop or special services, whatever that might be. BF lids, we refer to as the big friendly lids, because this took that single screen and stretched it out over 250 feet long. So to kind of give you a frame of reference for how big this screen is, at 250 feet long, Delta's flagship international airplane, the Airbus A350, is smaller nose to tail and smaller wingtip to wingtip than this screen, by a quite big margin. So this is huge. It takes over a minute to walk all the way down from one end to the other. It spans the entire ticketing lobby. And what we've done here is really kind of broken out of that 16:9 paradigm. And what you see is we've got the traditional lids, right? You can see that if you want to self-tag bag drop, this is where you stand. If you want to talk to an agent, this is where you queue up. So all that information is still there, but we're layered in on top of this kind of incredible motion video background that's just playing different scenes from around the world and different places, but it's all very, very gentle, right? The key to this was we really wanted to help de-stress that check-in process. So everything was intentional. There's no fast movement. There's nothing that's flashy or anything like that, but it is very calming, de-stressing. And then you'll see we also have flight information displays embedded into this into the screen, and that gives the employees even more information, or not employees, but our passengers more information, right? Now I can see where my flight's going to be taking off from, what gate I need to head to. But there's all this other kind of like really cool Easter egg kind of stuff that I love, and that's, you can see our Sky Clubs, how busy they are. So if your next step in your journey is to go to the Sky Club, you can choose which Sky Club you want to go to, because maybe the one in Terminal 2 is a little bit less busy than the one in Terminal 3. So it's this data-infused wayfinding that, I think just really enhances that whole passenger experience. And, you tie it together. This is the first thing you see when you walk into the lobby, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And, we're really super proud of it. As far as we know, there's nothing like that anywhere. So huge success for us.
That is incredible. So you mentioned the passenger experience. Have you seen an impact on the passenger experience from before this implementation and then after you've unleashed these BF lids?
Yeah, so the BF lids. So we do have some data. In New York, JFK was one of the last stations to get the BF lids. And the cool thing about that is nothing changed inside that airport except for the addition of the BF lids that wrapped around our ticketing counters there. Everything else stayed the same, right? And when they started looking at the measurements that, how passengers feel about the check-in experience or NPS scores around that, we saw a greater than 7% improvement or 7-point improvement in the check-in experience NPS scores. So that speaks volumes to how much of an impact these have on the passenger experience. And I might add to Mick that this also is a source of pride for our agents and employees that work in these airports, because making this investment and making it look so amazing also gives them pride in what they're doing and pride in their environment, which is a great thing to see.
Absolutely. And if you look at if these are designed to de-stress that check-in experience, then you've got less stressed guests checking in, probably also improves the employee experience a little bit, I would imagine as well. So moving through now, we've checked in. Now what are we looking at, Ryan?
Yeah, so we're back here in LaGuardia, and this is probably the next or most stressful part for a lot of people is TSA, right? You got to stand in this line. If your flight is leaving soon, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get through that whole process. This is probably hands down the best TSA experience you could ever want. What you're looking at here in front of you is these totems, and these are affectionately called squids or security queue information displays. And these totems really serve two purposes. One is where do I need to queue up? Am I Sky Priority? Am I TSA pre-check or clear or general boarding? But you'll also notice there's a number there that says under 5 minutes. And what we're utilizing is data from sensors that are in the ceiling that are using an AI algorithm to accurately predict pretty much down to the second how long it's going to take you to move through that queue, and not just to get to TSA, but all the way through TSA. So they're tracking that process all the way through. So once you complete TSA, it's going to take you under 5 minutes or under 10 minutes or under 15 minutes, whatever the case may be. And that, I think, is also one of those things, if you can tell people, hey, it looks like a long line, but it's actually moving very quickly and you're only going to be in here less than 10 minutes, that can help, with your mindset and the passenger, like, hey, I have plenty of time. I can actually still go to that Sky Club, or I can still, visit one of the concession stands and get something to eat before my flight, or just, even make it to the gate before they close that door on me. So I think these are just really incredible. I mean, these are custom built. They're double-sided, so you can see them from both directions. And the airport has, or our team at the airport has the ability to change these up any way they want. So they can reconfigure this lobby at a moment's notice. If they needed to add another Sky Priority lane or another general boarding lane, they have complete flexibility to do that, which is really, really cool.
That last bit of functionality that you talked about is great. I mean, hey, we see a need and we need to change something based around, what we're seeing on the ground here. Giving them that ability is huge. I can also say, speaking from personal experience, I would love to see these everywhere, because I can think of a lot of different times where having that kind of information and going through security would be very beneficial to my mental well-being in the moment. So this is an amazing implementation.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to that data-infused wayfinding, right? I mean, we're telling you where to go, where you need to be, but we're also giving you data to help make those decisions, or like we said, like help your mental well-being, because I know it's not going to impact my travel.
Yeah, lack of information, it just breeds ambiguity. But what you're doing there, it removes that ambiguity. It's amazing. All right, Ryan, you've walked us through, employee communications, operational communications, passenger experience, passenger communications. You've done a lot at your time at Delta. How do we move beyond the expected? What are your top tips? What have you learned?
I think one is a willingness to try, right? I think that's how we really kind of started going from, just those employee comms, that 7-screen implementation, to really finding different use cases. Altogether, I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 different applications that we've built on the Popular platform. And those range from everything from, some dashboarding for a specific group to, those BF lids, which are so incredibly prominent in some of our biggest airports. But it was built on that willingness to try and really not saying no. We're gonna figure it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But usually there is a way. So that was the first thing, that mindset of we're gonna just go for it. And I think the second thing, really was we kind of took it upon ourselves to sell this internally, right? I'm not a sales guy. I don't pretend to be, but getting this in front of people and showing our success around the company really got people thinking, well, gee, this looks very similar to a problem that I have. Maybe we can find a solution like that would help me. And it all comes back to me. It's finding a need and filling it. And that just seems to resonate within the organization, and people just find us now.
It's incredible. I mean, you said it earlier, success breeds success, but how are you fielding requests now? People are saying, hey, I have a challenge. I'm not sure what to do with it. And then they kind of bring you in and you consult and figure out what can be done. I mean, is that how this works now?
That's pretty much how it works. People know how to find us now. And so, they are coming to us with these ideas, and we're evaluating, if we're a right fit for it. Oftentimes we are, and sometimes, we have to say, this is probably not something we're going to be able to solve with our capability or the data at hand or just the nature of the problem itself. But, I think we have just been very successful at consulting with these companies with these different business groups and saying, hey, we can get you 90% there, or we can get you 110% there. Like, there's these ideas that we've applied elsewhere that would really be beneficial to you, and we'd like to try this and take it in this direction. And it's that consultative approach that has really helped us build a signage network that I think is world class.
Yeah, I definitely echo that it is world class. And I'd say that the thing that strikes me most about hearing this story is that it's underlying all of it. It's communications. So communications at the right time to the right people is solving a variety of problems, and it all comes back to communication. So it's how you're reaching the people that you need to reach in the moments that they need it. And Ryan, I think that it is clear you have done an amazing job at creating exactly that at Delta. So thank you for walking.
Thank you. I would just like to say, I mean, it's not just me. We have a whole team of professionals that are just the top of the game of what they do. And of course, we work so closely with Populo and the great team there that it's a symbiotic relationship. And we love to create signage, and it's what we do. So thank you for your partnership.
Yeah, thank you.